Welcome to Horsing Around with Bonnie and Naomi podcast.
A podcast about our adventures, exploring abandoned, haunted, and interesting places with your hosts,
Bonnie and
Naomi. Welcome to this week's episode of Horsing Around with Bonnie and Naomi. This is episode number 7. In this episode, we are going to be talking about Helltown, or the lack thereof. But before we get to talking about that, we would like to say thank you to all the ones who have liked, subscribed, followed, and shared our podcast. If you haven't done so, please do so. It is very helpful for us. And we'd also like to remind you to subscribe to our YouTube channels, Exploring with Bonnie and Naomi's Adventures. I almost said that wrong, and I should know what it's supposed to be. Oh my goodness. Okay, Bonnie, you are the research person. Give us some history on this exciting place.
Alright. A little history about Helltown. It's technically called Boston Mills, and that's in Summit County, Ohio, which is over to the east of Cleveland, like southeast of Cleveland, southeast of Cleveland area. And Boston Mills was settled in 1806, and it is the oldest village in Summit County, which, that's kind of impressive, being the oldest county in Summit County.
I don't really think that's impressive, sorry.
Or the oldest town, in Summit County. I think it's impressive.
I should have done the effects where it clapped right there, huh? Like,
not many people
County
can claim to be the oldest settlement in a county.
Okay, sorry.
Okay. In the 1880s, a railroad station was built in Boston Mills. And there is a railroad station in Boston Mills today. I don't know if that's the original site of the railroad station, or if that's like a present-day version of what was there before. But it is nice to go there and see that.
Okay, hold on. So you just can't mention the railroad station and then just skip over it. Like, it takes you on a tour of the Cuyahoga National Valley.
It does. It's called the Cuyahoga Scenic Railroad.
How much was it?
Like $18, and it's a 2-hour tour through the valley, and they bring you right back.
Okay.
Well, you can get off, I believe you can get off at any point and then get back on. But I'm not exactly sure about that. But I do know it takes you, brings you around, takes you back by 2 hours.
Okay, now back to the history. Now back to the history lesson, please. Sorry.
Obviously, we've already said it's in the Cuyahoga Valley. And Boston Mills, or Helltown, the residents were forced to abandon their homes because of the federal government. The federal government in 1974, there was a nationwide stress and anxiety about the disappearing forest lands in the United States. So the federal government, in 1974, thanks to President Ford, passed legislation that would allow the National Park Service, or the federal government, to take the land to preserve the forests. And that is what we know today. They call it eminent domain. They didn't call it that in the research. But I can't say that word, so we're not using it. Basically, they took the land. Right? So the plan was to turn it into a national park, which is what it is today.
It was, in 2000, it was designated as a national park. But they didn't tear the houses down and make it a national park right away. They left the houses standing for years before they finally tore them down. So, Helltown has a lot of rumors and legends about the town, about the area. There's rumors that there are ghosts, murderous Satanists. There are rumors of chemical spills that resulted in mutations of residents and animals. I should have looked up where those chemical spills came from, because there's not really a chemical facility right there, so where did they get the chemical spills from? I'm not sure, but
I don't know.
It's a rumor. Anyways, there's a rumor about an old school bus that the kids on it were killed.
There are also rumors that there are tunnels in Helltown, but I saw no evidence of tunnels in Helltown.
There is a cemetery, Boston Cemetery. It is said to have a ghost of a man, grave robbers, and a moving tree, and a ghost who sits on the bench. I'm kind of disappointed because I didn't see no moving trees. I mean, we saw lots of trees, but I didn't see any moving ones. That would have been
not anything
exciting.
other that weren't waving in the breeze.
Yeah.
But they weren't getting up and walking around.
One that jumps out in front of you and is like, or jumps out in the middle of the road. That would have been exciting. Okay. So, the most famous mutant animal is a giant snake. Slightly disappointed.
I did not see any giant mutant snake.
I know,
I didn't see a little normal snake.
Yeah, that's disappointing.
Of course, I believe with the time we went, there was slight snow on the ground. It was kind of chilly, cold. I'm sure they were in hibernation at the time, so maybe even giant snakes hibernate at that time of year.
Because the flooded road was frozen too, so it was cold. One of the churches is said to have an evil man in the basement, and he is said to prevent people from entering the church. There are 2 dead-end streets off of Stanford Road. Stanford Road is often called the end of the world or highway to hell.
The reason why it's called the end of the world is because when you have to go up this hill, and then at the top of the hill, it's almost like if you were driving, it would look like your car is going off the edge of a cliff, because you can't see the road as it goes down over the other side of the hill.
It's like a roller coaster with a massive hill, like you're just dropping straight down.
So that's why they called it the end of the world, because it felt like you would drive off the end of the world.
It is a steep downhill, because I went down it. It is pretty steep. It's kind of terrible coming up.
See, I did not go down past the end of the world. I stopped at the end of the world.
She was smart. She didn't go beyond the end of the world. She just stayed where it was safe. Just kidding. Okay, so there are so many YouTube channels about Helltown. And so we, of course, had watched a bunch of YouTube channels because we like watching other urban explorers. And so we had seen about the buildings, we'd heard about the legends, the rumors, and we're like, oh, this is going to be amazing, let's go there. So we went there, we went in the wintertime, and tell us, my dear sister, what did you think of Helltown What did you think of Helltown?
Well, when I first got there, I was excited at the prospect of seeing an abandoned town and what was left of it. Like, I was so excited.
Yeah, it was exciting because this was one of our bucket list places that we wanted to go to. So, pulling up, you get there and the road is barricaded and you're like, oh my god, we found it, this is amazing. And then we got out of the car and that all changed.
There is no abandoned town left.
There is nothing left. There is a road, and trees to the right, and trees to the left, and more road, and more trees to the right, and more trees to the left. Then you get the big downhill, and then there's a road that you're walking on, and then there's trees to the right, and trees to the left. That's what was left.
Okay, I just Googled something because you said that about the chemical spill, where it came from.
Enlighten us.
There's a dump that is really close to Boston Heights, which I'm going to guess is close to Boston Mills.
We drove by there, I'm sure.
I can't say the name. It's KREJCI dump. And they have 74 acres, and it was close to the same. It's in Summit County. Well, this area obviously was found out to be one of the most highly Well, it's one of the most highly used parks in the area, but it was also one of the most contaminated sites in the United States. Enviro Protectional Regencies, Region 5.
Wait a minute. So they eminent
So
domained,
it's a Superfund site.
They eminent domained this land from the people, kicked them out of their houses to make it part of the national park, and it's highly contaminated.
The dump is subsequently became a Superfund cleanup site. Yes, that means it's very toxic, or that they're spending hundreds of dollars to clean up that area, whatever specific area where the dump was, which is probably close enough to Boston Mills or Helltown to contaminate water, forcing the government to take over. And that's crazy because now it's a national park.
Tell me why we always go to places that are Superfund sites that are highly contaminated, because
I did not know this was a Superfund site until tonight.
Because we've been to the TNT area, that's like
a Superfund site.
Superfund site.
Really contaminated with TNT and DNT.
Yeah, we're probably going to die from radiation or...
And then we went to the mill over there by Cleveland. That's a contaminated site.
And then we went to South Point.
That's a contaminated site.
And then we go into buildings with mold. Woo! We're really trying to kill ourselves. No, I'm just kidding. Sorry about
Possibly asbestos, but we cannot confirm or deny that the buildings we've been in has asbestos.
Oh, that's crazy.
I will just assume by the date on them that there probably is, or lead paint, or something that probably contaminated us.
Well, I'm a little disappointed we didn't see no giant mutant creature in the woods then, because that would have made my day right there.
And it's possible that they may have even had their own version of the Mothman. Maybe that's the Kill It Mutant Snake. Maybe that's their version of the Mothman. Yeah, Snake Man.
Snake Man. Yes, Snake Man is in Helltown. That's what we're going to call him. Okay.
It opened as a junkyard and they burnt trash and dumped scrap metal. That's what happened there. And they began accepting industrial and municipal waste.
Nice.
Much of it was toxic. So, yeah.
All right. So, the road and the trees were not technically the only thing left in Helltown. There was 2 barns. So, like, when you get to town, you get to the barricaded road, and then you gotta walk, and walk, and walk, and walk, and walk. So it's probably about, like, maybe 1.5 miles to 2 mile hike from where the barricade is to where the end of the world is, the drop off. But before you get to the end of the world, there's like a turn to the left, and you go down a little hill, and there are 2 barns there.
And in a video that I watched on YouTube, it says that barn was a possible slaughterhouse, and someone had seen a noose hanging in the barn. Now, that doesn't mean that somebody was killed there. That could have just been a stage thing to freak people out and make people scared. But there is that rumor.
No, the red barn, the big red barn, is not the one that was the slaughterhouse. It's the little shack-looking junk pile barn where you could see somebody being murdered.
And I did have a picture of it, and it was posted on Facebook.
We went in there in my video that I did a video of Helltown. I already put it on YouTube. We went into both barns, and like, I just did like a quick walkthrough because I didn't think there was anything impressive about it, because it's just a barn. It looks like it would fall down in a big stiff wind, you know. Yeah. So.
And I knew this when we went, that it was considered a slaughterhouse, and I just didn't tell her for some strange reason.
Keeping secrets, that's extremely rude.
I guess.
You know, that would have made my day.
I know, since you're a slasher thriller author, yes.
That would have been like, ooh, is there a killer still? Like, maybe there is a serial killer, and this is where he chopped up the little kids at from the school bus or something.
Looking at YouTube a little earlier, I saw that video, and it brought to memory the slaughterhouse thing. So yes.
Well, that's exciting. Now I kind of want to go back and check out the barn.
But I would guess it's not like a slaughterhouse, like where they slaughtered hogs and pigs, like that kind, you know, where they use them for meat. Like, if they're talking slaughterhouse, I'm thinking that, you know, multiple bodies were killed there.
I think
there's no confirmation of that.
Yeah, there's just rumors of the people killing people, and maybe that's where the giant snake man hides his carcasses. Well, he can't because we didn't see any. That's not right. Okay. Alright, let's be serious now. Sort of, maybe, if we can.
We can't.
What were your thoughts when you were walking around?
I was really disappointed because it's gone. Like, everything is gone. There's no history, no foundations. You would think, we've been to other locations where even there's a foundation. There's no foundations of any kind of building. No, like, furnace, like the furnace stack of a house, the fireplace. You sometimes see them still from the old abandoned houses that are gone. The fireplace thing is still there. There is nothing anywhere that I could see.
There's not even a marker that says this used to be the town of Boston Mills. There's not even a mailbox left behind. Like, it is literally just when after you hit the barricade and you go down around the barricade, it's just like weeds and trees to the right and to the left.
That is true.
Everything is gone. They left nothing. No remnants of the house at all. I was extremely disappointed by that.
Now, from what I saw in the one video, a lot of the houses were down after end of the road. There used to be a barricade on the video at the end of the road. And then past the video, past the end of the road where that barricade was, there's a bridge, which you and Philip went and saw that. There were buildings down past that, according to the video, or what you saw on the video. So, and I didn't go down there to see, but that's where some of the houses were.
Yeah. So, when we went down there, you cross like one little bridge, and then there's like this little creek that's kind of cool, and then you go a little bit farther, and that's the trailhead for some of the trails of Cuyahoga National Park. And like, if you go to the right, we suspect that takes you up to an inn that you can stay at there and have like weddings and stuff, but we don't know for sure. And then to the left, it takes you to another bridge, which is over a river, and that can take you to the Brandywine Falls.
Yes, I believe so.
But I didn't go any farther after that because we had already been out there walking for such a long time, and we were kind of discouraged because we hadn't seen anything, and we didn't know. We were like, are we in the wrong spot? Is this even the right place? And we ended up going back to the car. We drove around a lot because we were like trying to find a different way in to come from the back side of town to come in that area so we wouldn't have to hike up the hill or, hike.
And if there was another way into the town, like say the road had went all the way through town and then out the other side to meet another road, there's no sign anywhere of another road on the other side, like of the road.
Yeah, we spent hours. I would say we spent hours driving around, up and down stupid roads,
We were there all day.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. Like, it's just like that road. It just disappears. It goes nowhere. Like, it's the weirdest thing.
And I know when you guys went down over the hill, I didn't go, and it's because, well, for one, I was already tired. I'm overweight. I do have arthritis in my hips. I do this because I'm trying to, get out and do something and not let my arthritis get me. But I went, instead of going down over that big hill and having to climb that big hill back up, I went to the left at the end of the road and up into this field where I would assume part of the town had been, because as you're coming up that road, like, the one side is a drop off, the other side is a hill up. So there's no way there could have been a town on that section of the road. So I assumed that there might be some more town up there in the field where you guys didn't go. So I was going to go up and check it out. And as I was walking, there were spots that looked like there could have been houses, like there might have been at one time, but no foundations. Nothing left over like that. But if you kept walking on that trail, it took you to the Brandywine. You could actually see the Brandywine ski slope over that way. So it just kind of took you to their property.
Which like, it makes sense that they would want to take this town to be part of the Cuyahoga National Park, whatever, because it's literally completely surrounded by the park anyways. Like, everything is surrounded by the park. So, I mean, it does kind of make sense that they would want to take this town for that purpose. It just kind of sucks for the people that live there, because they just had to, like, up and leave.
Yeah, and we don't know, like, where the people, like, where they went to. What did they do? Did they just give up without a fight?
Yeah.
Like, did they move away? Did they, I don't know, what did they do? That I want to know, what did they, like, what did they do?
Did they take Snake Man with
them? Did they move down into the other part of the town that's now Boston Mills? I don't know if that was... There's another section that's like Boston Mills. It has a church. There's other buildings there down by the train station and stuff. That's Boston Mills now, and I don't know if that was part of the original Boston Mills or if that's just present day Boston Mills. There's no information that tells me whether it was part of the old one or that's still left or not. I can say that the church that's there is not the one that's in the video with the upside down cross. And I don't know where the haunted cemetery is. If there's a cemetery by that church, I didn't see one. And I would like to know where it is because, again, I'm a big historian. And where are their bodies? What do they do with them? Usually when they come in and destroy land, either they keep the cemetery and put a fence around it, or they move the bodies somewhere else. But there's no place that I can find where the bodies are. Not,
Yeah. I don't know where the cemetery is either. That's one thing. We drove around a lot. And, like, we were all over that area. Like, every road we could take, we were going down to try to lead us to, hopefully, Helltown. And we never saw the cemetery. And that area where we did see the Boston Mills now, there was a nice area. Like, that was not part, I don't think it was part of the Helltown, because it just looked like a nice little community. It wasn't like, didn't look haunted, didn't look scary, didn't look anything.
So it's more like a present day Boston Mills, where the old one was up on the hill?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I don't know. But, yeah. So were you disappointed?
Yeah, I was disappointed. I at least wanted to see foundations of abandoned buildings. I mean, that's the least I would want to see.
Yeah, that's like...
who cares about ghosts?
Right.
And whatnot.
When you're going there to explore something abandoned, you really want to find something abandoned. And, like, the only thing that was there was the barns. And, I mean, I guess those are kind of abandoned, but, like, it's not as cool as finding a building, because there's, like, nothing in it. And, like, a building, you have chances of finding cool stuff to take pictures of and to look at. It was just pretty disappointing because there was nothing left. I wanted to see the school bus. That's what I was looking forward to seeing.
Obviously, we started YouTube channels to do abandoned. We have haunted or interesting locations. I don't care what it is. We're going to go look at it and find it. Whether it's an old furnace, a cave, a state park with a lake, I don't care what it is. We're going to go look for it. And I want to go and document the history. Since I'm a historian, I'm really fascinated by history and how things happened and why they happened and all kind of details like that. And there's nothing for this town, and that kind of upsets me. And I'm glad I went there, because at least, even though I don't have anything in my video is going to be there for future generations. If they want to know about Helltown, it's there. Even though I know it's not the best one out there, it's still there.
Yeah, that's the coolest thing about YouTube and people who have done urban exploring abandoned places, is the ones in the past that have gone to Helltown. They have videos of what was there when they went, so they kind of documented some of history, which is cool because now there is nothing left. There is no town. There's nothing to even tell you that there was a town. It's like completely forgotten. Like if you would go there today, you would never have a clue that a town was there. And that's kind of sad. The only way somebody is going to know that a town was over there now is basically watching YouTube videos, maybe. Because there's nothing.
No historical marker, no nothing. We went even down in southern Ohio. We came across this coal mine explosion location, and it even has a historical marker sign that tells about the coal mine explosion. And nothing else is there. A smokestack for the building, but nothing else that we can tell. But at least there's a sign saying that people died there and people lived there and, did this there. And Helltown doesn't have anything like that.
Yeah, Helltown is just a road with trees to the right and trees to the left. Sorry, it really is, though.
But there is a lot of towns in Ohio, little towns that have disappeared, and there's no trace of them. Hardly any documentation, no YouTube channels that I can find, no YouTube videos that I can find about these little towns throughout Ohio. And what they used to be.
I don't think that there's a lot of people that, I don't even think there's a lot of urban explorers that are going to go traipsing around the woods to find the remnants of a building, because just seeing the foundation of a building isn't interesting for some people, but for me it's interesting because I'm like, ooh, what used to be there, what used to be over there. I want to know. I'm curious of what used to be there. We went to a quarry here in Ohio and we found remnants of a building. We're kind of fascinated by that. We're kind of weird like that and fascinated because we want to dig up any information about it that we can find, and we want to take pictures of it and stuff.
Yeah, I like to take pictures of it, and then I like to come research. And sometimes I do research for the next event. Say I run across something, I'll do research about it after I've been there, but then my research, I fall into a rabbit hole and come up with 20 million other things to explore the next time that may or may not be there. Furnaces, whatever, more quarries, I'm interested in this stuff.
Yeah.
And I learned so much history.
Yeah, we've learned a lot. So, she was talking about small towns that are, similar to Helltown. There's nothing left of them. Nothing. One of them is down at Loudonville, near Mohican State Park.
I don't know the exact name of the town, but it is now covered with that lake that they made the dam there at the Loudonville. Yeah, the Pleasant Valley Lake. They made a dam there for whatever reason to help save flooding, probably. And in the event that when they made it, they destroyed the town that was there in that valley. They buried it with water, and everybody had to move. They took it eminent domain. There's still a town underneath the water there, underneath the lake. And on the west side, there's supposed to be remnants of the town. I've never seen the remnants, but that doesn't mean I'm not going to try to find them at some point.
Yeah. That's the cool thing about people who do go exploring stuff, is that they can go there and find it and be like, hey, there used to be a town here. This is what's left now. We don't always give as much information, as much history when we get to a site as we probably should. Maybe in our descriptions we have more information, but when we shoot in our video, we don't always do that.
Because we're too excited.
Yeah.
To get there and start taking pictures and start taking video. And
I know. Well, if you roll up at a site that is this cool this weekend, the sanitarium, it was amazing. It was completely covered, overtaken by vines and stuff, and it looked so spooky and cool. When you roll up at a site like that, it's hard to think what was the history of this place now? I need to say this and this and this. You're just like, oh my gosh, look at that. So it's hard to do that, but we try to do it in our videos because that's important. Like, it kind of sucks that, like, Helltown, there's nothing left. Nobody will know anything about it. This little town that was flooded down by Loudonville, like, there's nothing left of it. There's probably no videos of it now on YouTube. Nobody probably knows there used to be a town there. Unless you really get into researching, you're not going to know about it.
You can Google, like, lost and forgotten towns or, you know, in Ohio, I think, and it'll come up. But there's only a couple articles that actually tell about it.
We will get there, and we
go to Loudonville a lot, so to Mohican.
We will get there, we will find it, and we will post a YouTube video on it eventually. We have a huge list of places we're going to hit up, but, like, that town is similar to Helltown. Like, nobody is going to know that town was there. There was history there. There were people that lived there. There were people that worked hard to build that town. And now it's just like all of their work was for nothing. It's just gone. Like, and that kind of sucks that there's not
it's like building your own house on your own farm and then the government coming along and drowning your whole house, like, taking away. Like taking everything, your farmland, your house, you know, everything. All you got, the clothes on your back, your car. You can't move your house. You can move your possessions. You can't move your house. And maybe to some people the house isn't important, but if your family was born and raised on that farm and you know, it started out as a one-room shack and you build it up to this big farmhouse, even a little farmhouse, you're still losing it.
You had history there, and if it's not important to anybody else, it's important to you and your family.
And Helltown, they lost all that.
Yeah. That's one of the cool things, like I said, about YouTube is, like, you can see the videos, you can see some of that history, you can learn some of that information, and I think it is important to learn that information. There's another small town by North Baltimore that Galatea. We were driving through it, and we read the history online in a newspaper article.
We've been through this town multiple times. We've been by this town. We worked in North Baltimore. There's rumors that there's Satanists, you know, devil worshippers. It's haunted. The church that was there is now gone. But in this article I read from Los Angeles, California, said that this little town of Galatea in Ohio was this big booming town. They had a train station because there was two different train tracks that run through town. They crisscross. One goes east and west, one goes north and south. And they had, like, a couple bars and a grocery store, and they had everything. They had an oil refinery or something there. It has this big old town, and now it's got maybe 6 or 7 buildings.
Yeah, if you drive through Galatea, like, you would never know that it was a boom town. Like, it's hard to even imagine that it was a boom town. You know? Like, it's hard to, because when we were there, we were like, well, where would the general store have been? Where would the tavern have been? Where would they have had this? Where would they have had that? We just kind of think like that. I don't know why.
See, and the crazy thing is you would think that it might still exist, or some of it, because just on the other side of the tracks that run north and south is the town of North Baltimore. They go up to that track, and it stops. North Baltimore stops. And on this side of the tracks is Galatea. It's not there. But North Baltimore is big and, I mean, it's not booming, but, I mean, it's bigger than what it was when I first started going to North Baltimore.
It's booming compared to Galatea.
Well, yeah, it's booming compared to Galatea. But you would have thought either, you know, that would have been part of Galatea, or, and I know for a fact that North Baltimore did not incorporate Galatea into their city limits. Because from what I can read, North Baltimore stops at the train tracks.
Like, what sucks about that is there's, like, maybe one picture in one article about the history of Galatea. There's really nothing left. There's no YouTube videos. There, you know, like, it sucks. Like, all that history about that town, what it was like back in its heyday.
People's blood, sweat, and tears.
Yeah.
Gone.
And there's nothing. And it kind of relates to Helltown because, once again, there's nothing left. Like, you walk there now and you would never know that Helltown was a cool town back in the day. Like, Galatea, you would never know it was a boom town. You would never know the town at Loudonville was there, and now it's gone. Like, it's sad that there hasn't been a way for people to record it until now. Now you got all these YouTubers who are going out looking for stuff, taking videos, taking pictures, posting it on YouTube, posting
Using
it
drones.
everywhere. Yeah. Now you have all this, and it's really cool because you can see the history, and you can learn stuff. You can learn from people.
I've learned so much more being a YouTuber about history, about different places that I didn't even know existed in Ohio. I mean, I've only barely left Ohio. And I've got so many places that I still want to go, just in Ohio. Not counting my list in West Virginia and Pennsylvania.
Yeah, the history of stuff is completely fascinating. And, like, that's one of the cool things about doing YouTube videos and exploring is, like, we can document the history. Like, if you never knew Helltown was... Most people didn't know Helltown was there. But you can go on YouTube, you can watch videos, and you can see what it used to be like. Which is cool for people from Helltown, but, like, Galatea, there's nothing like that.
And we met a little girl the other day on one of our travels. She was so excited because we were YouTube vloggers. And this is the next generation. Like, she would have been like, she would probably young enough to be my grandchild. Like, that's like the, you know, that's like the new generation. And she's excited about this kind of stuff. Like, that makes me kind of happy that at least somebody's gonna go on and do it.
Yeah, she kind of acted like it was like a big deal, like superstars, or she just met superstars or something. It was nuts that she was so excited. But it's kind of cool that she's excited and she wants to watch. Especially, I mean, I know there's a lot of crap on YouTube, but you can find some cool stuff on YouTube, like the exploring stuff.
I would rather her watch us, even if we are boring or don't have a lot of interesting stuff and we're a lot of history, than her watching some of the crap that's out there that is negative and not positive.
Yeah. A lot of the explorers that we watch, they do research, and, well, I mean, you kind of got to find the places to begin with, and when you're doing research to find the places, you're going to learn what happened there. They tell you about what happened. They give you some history of what used to be there. Like, just the other day, the one YouTuber we watched, Mobile Instinct, he was talking about a flood in the town of Johnstown, Pennsylvania. And, like, his whole video was, like, giving you the history of what happened in that flood and what the town is like now. I mean, that stuff is really cool.
I love all the people like Mobile Instincts, the Proper People, Exploring with Josh, any of them that I'm not even mentioning.
Yeah.
I love watching them, and they made me interested in doing this.
Yeah, because I started watching before she did, and I don't even think she really... I think she thought it was kind of stupid when I first started watching it and talking about the Proper People.
I was kind of more into the haunted, like, going to haunted places. And I'm cool with that, too. I mean, but there's still history at the haunted places. There's always some kind of history.
Yeah.
But now it's just kind of evolved into, well, I can do the haunted and I can do the exploring, and they kind of mesh together.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we're not the greatest at telling the history because we get so excited, but...
We are working on it,
It could be in our... I try to put it in my description. I'm trying to get a lot better about that, like, in the bottom. And I'm also trying to get better about saying stuff when I'm out there. Even if I have to have it written down and carry a piece of paper with me. It's kind of, you know, I'm going to have it somehow. Or try to.
My bad thing is, I'm always like, this is so cool. Oh my gosh. Like, I say that way too much. This is so cool. Like, a lot of times I just get super distracted by the site, and I just totally lose it. The one day I did Google, when we were at the Coke Ovens, I Googled it and was reading a little bit of the information while I was walking around looking. So that way I could give some information about it.
I still have questions about that place, so I need to call and find out the Historical Society, but yeah.
Pretty much Helltown was disappointing. There was nothing left. It was all gone. We started exploring a little too late. We missed all the cool stuff. That's happened many times to us.
But still, if you get to go there, you get to see where it was. You'll get exercise. You'll see a very beautiful piece of Ohio, the hills. If you go there in the winter, you can take a side trip over to one of the ski resorts.
Yeah.
See some ski bunnies or some ski guys. I don't know what they're called. They're not bunnies, obviously, but just don't break your leg. But you get to see at least what the area looked like.
Yeah. And if you want to see what it looked like when it was a town, check it out on YouTube.
There's so many to Google. Google it on YouTube and it'll give you tons and tons and tons of videos. Take your pick.
Yeah, you can watch before and after videos. Before, when there was stuff there. Random people. After, mine and Bonnie's. There's nothing
there was also a documentary on Destination America about Helltown.
Yeah.
I didn't see that, but I know there was one.
Yep. But this exploration, it was cool in that we got to go there, we got to learn some history, we got to see something different that we'd never seen before, and that's always a good thing. And for me, I got to hike some trails, and that's always a win-win for me.
Especially the Buckeye Trail, which is there right across the street.
Yep. Would you ever go back to Helltown?
Yeah, I might go past the end of the world. Maybe try to come up the other side from that cottage we found.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I want to do.
See if I can see anything down there.
That's what I want to do, because we don't know what's down that road.
Because I didn't go down there.
Yeah. Yeah, I would like to go back and check that out.
If I didn't have to climb up that big massive hill and go back down and climb back up that hill, I'd be good. So if I can find a quicker way in...
Send me to scout it out for you.
I'm good
at that.
Not cold and snowy-ish.
Alright, well, I guess that is all we have about Helltown, because there was nothing but a road, some trees to the right, and trees to the left. But you can still check it out if you're curious. There's plenty of videos on YouTube, like we said. It's at least interesting to learn the history of places, and that pretty much is the whole point, to learn the history of places so it isn't lost and forgotten.
That's the point.
Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channels, Exploring with Bonnie and Naomi's Adventures. And thanks for listening. We'll talk to you next week.
Bye.
Bye.